Hi and welcome to Leitrim Daily. My name is Brett Nearly and you're listening to episode 226 of the podcast. It's the Sports Roundup show after a very busy weekend of sporting action up and down the county. Today's episode is brought to you in partnership with Pete's Sandwich Bar on Park Lane in Carrick-on-Shannon. More on them later in the programme. Now, it was a busy weekend in terms of the county semi-finals taking place in Park Sean McDermott all weekend at senior and intermediate level, while the ladies also finished their semi-final round with the refixed game between Ballinamore and Kiltubbard. More on all of those games later on in the day. There was, of course, also the matter of a junior semi-final in ladies football to be played between Fenagh and Glencar Manor Hamilton B. In terms of the Sligo Leitrim Soccer League, it started this weekend. The first round of fixtures were played in both the Super League and the Premier League, and thankfully 3 Leitrim clubs in action. Mixed bag results: 1 win, 1 defeat, 1 draw for the 3 sides in action. In that, we'll be talking to Thomas MacDonald of Manor Rangers later in the programme. In terms of the National League, mixed bag also at that level for Leitrim athletes. Niall Morahan, involved in Sligo Rovers' scoreless draw at St Patrick's Athletic on Saturday evening. But on a personal note, very disappointing to pick up a second yellow card very, very late in the game and get a bit of an early shower. Dearbhaile Beirne involved in Peamount United's 2-1 win at the weekend, and they now sit in second place, 1 point off league leaders Shelbourne, while Muireann Devaney scored the winner in the 3-2 victory over the Donegal League for Sligo Rovers under-17 girls team in their league game this weekend. We have, I think, 19 different guests on the show, 20 different guests on the show today, covering all the gamut, most of all to do with the senior and intermediate semi-finals in both men's and then the senior semi-final in the women's football as well. We'll be hearing from the managers and players from across all of the teams involved in those particular competitions. We will start with the rundown of the fixtures from the weekend in terms of the results of the weekend, should I say. We had a very busy schedule at senior and intermediate level, but the first action of the weekend was actually underage football, and 2 games of note played in the underage grades over the weekend. They were the 2 county finals at minor level. In the Division 2 final, we had the clash of northern rivals Glencar Manor Hamilton and Melvin Gales, and it was a fairly straightforward victory in the end for the town side of Manor Hamilton, 3-17 to 1-6, the final score in favour of Glencar Manor Hamilton. That game played in St Osnet's on Friday evening, while on Saturday morning over in Ballinamore, St Mary's, Kiltard and Allen Gales did battle. St Mary's had gone into this game in search of 3 championships in a row, but it wasn't to be on the day. Allen Gales, a very solid performance, and they won by 4 points on a scoreline of 3 goals and 10 points to 3 goals and 6 points. A fairly high scoring game by all accounts. Didn't make it myself, but I did hear it was a fantastic game, and both clubs will be looking forward to having some players coming through there as well. Of course, Allen Gales also involved in Ballinaglara in that particular setup, so good times ahead for that particular group of players coming through to senior level. And I really, from the point of view of Allen Gales' performance at senior level this year and even Ballinagara's performance at senior level, they'll be very happy to get that particular group of players eligible to play adult football next year. In terms of the Senior Football Championship, of course, 2 games played. One Saturday, that was Fenagh St Collins 2-7, Mohill GA Club 1-16. A very, very good game. 6 points between them in the end, but I think that probably doesn't quite do Fenagh justice in terms of the actual performance. Mohill were the stronger side though, and do progress on merit to the county final. We'll be hearing from their manager Liam Keenan and Keith Byrne later in the programme, while Donal, Wrynn and Joe Flynn will be telling us all about the point of view from the Fenagh camp after their championship came to an end. Sunday, of course, pitched up the defending champions Glencar Manor Hamilton against this year's surprise package in St Mary's. It wasn't to be for Manor as they went in search of a defence of their title they won last year. 7 points the margin of victory in the end, 2-14 to 13 points the final score, with St Mary's securing their place in that final with Mohill in 2 weeks' time. So congratulations to both those sides as they progress to the showpiece in 2 weeks' time. Now at intermediate level, a blistering start from Anaduff, where they scored 3 unanswered goals in the first 8 or 10 minutes of the game on Saturday afternoon against Carrigallen. Saw them just about hold on. Unbelievably bad conditions in terms of the wind, and it played an absolutely massive effect. And there was a calamitous first goal. We won't talk about it too much, but anyone who saw it will be well aware of what I'm talking about. It was just calamitous, but scored into a virtually empty net from about 30 yards. A bullet of a second goal from Anaduff, and then a fantastic close range effort from Sean McNabola. So Anaduff take that 3-goal lead in the first couple of minutes of the game, and really it was just a case of Carrigallen, who were probably the stronger side over the rest of the game, just didn't have enough time to claw back that 9-point deficit. They did claw back most of it. The final score finished up 4-5 to Anaduff, 2-9 to Carrigallen, so just 2 points in it in the end, and Anaduff did score the last point in injury time, which it was a 1-point game leading up to that. So unlucky in the end in terms of Carrigallen's performance. They really did leave it behind them, but Anaduff will be counting their blessings. They're in a county final, and anything can happen in a one-off game. If they play like they did on Saturday, they will struggle to get the better of their opponents in 2 weeks' time for the final though, and that of course will be Gortlettra after they overcame a spirited Dromahair performance, 4-18 to 2-14, and it was very like a game in the group stages where Gortlettra raced into an early lead and Dromahair pegged them back and just fell a bit short. This time it actually was the reverse. Dromahair held that 8-point lead at the interval, really looked solid, never looked like they were going to be in trouble, although Gortlettra had other plans. Came back, pegged them back to actually take the lead late in the game before a Cian Clinton goal brought Dromahair level and secured extra time for both sides. Now, there was a bit of controversy with the goal. The referee blew his whistle as he was kicking the ball. The ball ended up in the back of the net. Gortlettra reckoned it should have been a free. Dromahair quite happy to take the goal. Patrick Flynn, the match referee, allowed the goal probably fairly. I have to say, a lot of people criticise referees at times, but I think he got the right call. Yeah, he got the right call. Absolutely, he got the right call. Dromahair forced extra time, but just didn't really have it in the tank. Gortletra's probably stronger fitness just did pay off, and they had a fairly comfortable 10-point margin of victory after 10 minutes each way of extra time. 4-18 to 2-14 the final score. Very disappointed from a Dromahair point of view after battling so hard to get back into the game when all looked lost in the original 60 minutes. Of course, 2 adult games to be played in ladies football this weekend as well. It was due to be an off weekend, but because of the postponements the previous weekend, 2 games did take place on Sunday morning. In Leitrim Village at 11 a.m. on Sunday morning, Ballinamore and Kiltubbard met in the semi-final that had been refixed. It was a tighter affair than most people would have expected, particularly any neutrals or people outside of the Kiltubbard camp who really didn't expect much from Kiltubbard, but they did show up in spades. They were right in the game until the closing stages. Again, a fairly strong wind. Ballinamore, a great start for Kiltubbard. Ballinamore pegged them back and led comfortably at half time, but Kiltubbard just came out in the second half and really gave it a go and brought it to within a single score, 3 points to margin at 1 point very late in the game, and just Ballinamore got those 2 vital scores, a point and a goal from Emma McGovern with literally the last kick of the game, put 7 between them at the end. We'll be hearing from Katie Degnan and Conor Hart, and also from Kiltubbard Sinead Tighe later in the programme. An exceptional performance from Kiltubbard, particularly given the situation between the two sides earlier in the year when Ballinamore won much more comfortably, and it was a great performance and really a pride builder for everybody involved in Kiltubbard in terms of they definitely put themselves in as the definite number 4 in the Leitrim football this year. They're one of those teams that can compete, and they aren't quite a spent force like many, including ourselves, may have called them over the years. A great performance from some very young prospects in Kiltubbard, and great to see them develop. And I suppose the fact that they got 5 or 6 decent level championship games this year really will stand to them, and it's great format change with the ladies. It'll be interesting to see if they keep that for next year. It really has worked exceptionally well, and I think Kiltubbard's performance on Sunday morning is testament to that experience of playing high intensity full throttle championship games. So well done to Kiltubbard, but I suppose even bigger well done to Ballinamore. They've secured their first ever senior championship final. It's a huge achievement for a club that really has only been around the best part of a decade or so at adult level. So they've really come on in leaps and bounds, and they go into the final with manner as equals. It's very hard to call that particular competition how it's going to fare out in a couple of weeks' time, but because we'll have the pleasure of doing that for Sunday's game, and they play, I think at 3 o'clock is the game. I haven't quite got it confirmed yet, but it's down for 3 o'clock in Park Sean on Sunday afternoon. That game, of course, to be confirmed in terms of timings, so keep an eye out on social media for all of that information. And of course, LeitrimLGFA.ie website will also bring you up to speed on all of that later in the week. And at ladies football junior level, in the semi-final that was refixed from the previous weekend. Also, Fenagh edged out Glencar Manor by a single point at the death of the game. 3-10 to 2-12 the final score in favour of the Fenagh girls, and they'll progress to the junior final where they play Drumkieran in what promises to be a very exciting game for everybody involved at that level. Probably a little bit against form, but a fantastic performance from the Fenagh girls sees them into the county final. Congratulations to them. I suppose Glencar Manor will be disappointed because they've put a huge effort into that junior championship this year, but they will be, I suppose, allowed to progress now and enjoy the senior championship final on Sunday in Park Sean. So they still have something to keep their interest levels up in the club for the next few days at least. In local junior soccer over the weekend, the return of the Sligo, Leitrim and District Soccer League was a big plus for the soccer teams of the county, and they number 3 this year after 2 last year. Dromahair have added themselves to the roster at local level, and it's great to see an extra team in the county. Of course, Manor Rangers, they started their season on Sunday morning in the B Park in Manorhamilton with the visit of the Beach Boys, Strand Celtic, to the B Park. And the visitors opened the scoring on 16 minutes, courtesy of a Mark McGoldrick strike, while Alan Hickey scored in the second half to level it off again before Mark McCallan rifled home 13 minutes from time, where it looked like Strand Celtic might just snatch all 3 points. But 16-year-old Patrick Montgomery hit a superb equaliser for the Manorhamilton lads 6 minutes from time. So a great result in the context of conceding late on in the game, but there'll be disappointment in Manorhamilton about that result because I suppose already, even though it's only the first game of the season, it's points dropped, and they're hoping to emulate last season's title push and maybe even go one place further. In terms of the other results, Real Tubber had a 3-2 victory away to Ballymote Celtic. Cliffany Celtic beat Ballasdare United 3-1, while last season's league title winners Carbery beat Anna Celtic 2-1. Our Harps drew 2-2 with Merville, while Cartron United, with a whole lot of new players, including one rather notable player, Emlyn Mulligan, who might be familiar to a lot of listeners, they had a 2-1 victory over MCR in Sligo at the weekend. In the Premier League, in the Sligo Leitrim District League, 2 Leitrim sides in action. The new boys, Dromahair, had a tough day at the office, and of course they also had a clash with Dromahair GAA Club's semi-final on Sunday afternoon in Carrick. Dromahair FC's game kicked off, their first ever league game kicked off at 2 p.m. in Dromahair, while the GAA team threw in with a number of their maid players playing in the Gaelic football team. That game threw in at 1:30 in Carrick and Shannon, and unfortunately for Dromahair, their coach and staff and their players haven't worked out how to play at 2 different places at the one time. It's a bit disappointing given the small number of sporting events that we have in the county at the moment, that we weren't able to accommodate both of those games to take place and let players have the option or the possibility of attending both, particularly given the nature of it. That's quite disappointing, but a 7-1 defeat for Dromahair at the hands of Kulani, not the way they would have hoped their season started, but I suppose on a positive note, things can only get better from here. So well done to Dromahair just to field the team, to be out, to be active, to be in the league, and I'm sure they will pick up points as the year progresses. But as we spoke to their manager last week, David Downs, he just wants to be there and to create that culture and create that club within the community, and the very best of luck to them doing that. I think they will have better days than last Sunday afternoon. Carricktown, they had a good win away. Gurteen Celtic, a 3-1 victory against Gurteen, and they'll be happy with that. It puts them in a solid position, joint top of the table, just behind on goals scored. St John's had a win away at Kilglass and a Scrone 5-3, while Glenview Stars beat Ballygawley Celtic 3-1, and Calry Bows beat Chaffpool United 4-2 on that game on Sunday morning as well. In terms of the scores for Carricktown, they came from a Shane Byrne penalty, Ryan Duarte and Dara Hensey, while Gurteen scored once with a fine goal from Dylan Walsh. In terms of Dromahair, their first goal did come from Sean Conlon, and though it won't be a day they'll want to remember for long, their first goal in competitive fare, Sean Conlon, congratulations to him. But we won't talk about the other side of the draw, 7 goals, but a tough day at the office for Dromahair. It does leave them bottom of that first division, the Premier League, in terms of the competition. And as we said, Carrick currently in 4th place in that table, but effectively all the teams up there more or less at the same 3 points. It's very early to be talking about league tables in those competitions. In the SSE Electricity League, Sligo Rovers made the trip to In the SSE Airtricity League on Saturday evening, Sligo Rovers made the trip to St Patrick's Athletic to Richmond Park and were unfortunately thwarted in their attempts to continue their fine form. 0-0 in what was a pretty poor game by all accounts, leaves Sligo Rovers in 5th place in the league overall, and leaves Pats struggling at the bottom of the table. They're in 8th, just a couple of points, 4 points ahead of the relegation playoffs. So Sligo unbeaten again. It's been a great return to the league action, but unfortunately from a Leitrim point of view, Niall Morahan, who has been a vital part of that Sligo revival, didn't finish the game on Saturday evening, picked up a second yellow card late in the game and spent the last couple of minutes maybe in the shower ahead of his teammates. Red card for Niall, unfortunately, on Saturday evening. So that won't be one of his proudest moments in a Sligo jersey. But at the same time, a team that was struggling early on, they've really picked it up, and that's only one defeat in the last 7 league games for Sligo Rovers. So well done to everybody in the showgrounds. In terms of other local teams, obviously Longford Town had a 1-1 draw with Drogheda United in a table-topping clash in the First Division. Both teams still in the hunt for that league title. 7 games to go in that league title race, and Longford just 3 points off Bray Wanderers at the top of the table. Drogheda United currently 2 points behind Bray in 2nd place. Longford in joint 3rd with UCD and Cabinteely, all very, very tight at the top of that table. And of course in the Women's National League, Dearbhaile Beirne of Mohill again in action for her Peamount United club. They had a 2-1 victory over Galway United. A fantastic strike from Karen Duggan. It's on our Twitter account if you want to go back through the weekend's action and find it. It's well worth searching out. That was the winner, 2-1, and Dearbhaile and her teammates back to 1 point off the top of the table after 6 games in that league campaign. The 1 defeat to Wexford, the only blip on their copybook so far this season. So they're having a really, really good year in Dearbhaile, of course, a pivotal part of that particular campaign. At underage level, Muireann Devaney involved in Sligo Rovers under-17 women's 3-2 victory against the Donegal League on Saturday afternoon. She scored the 3rd goal in a 3-2 victory, and she'll be delighted with their opening start to the season. They've played 2 games so far. The COVID affected slightly for the first couple of games, but they've 4 points from their opening 2 games, and that will be a very positive start for the Bit of Red girls. Anyway, let's get on with the rest of the programme. And of course, we have plenty of reaction after games from those taking part in them over the weekend. We're going to start off with the Senior Football Championship, and we'll take them maybe chronologically through the weekend. We had Mohill and Fenagh on Saturday afternoon. After the game, I caught up with the 2 managers, Liam Keenan and Joe Flynn, but also with Mohill's Keith Byrne and Fenagh's Donal Wrynn. Donal Wrynn, disappointing day?
Yeah, very disappointing. I think we prepared very well for it, and we've had a good year up to today, but just wasn't to be. I think maybe a little bit of a lack of experience maybe showed on our part, but I suppose we came up against a very strong Mohill team, and they do play a nice brand of football, and they play a fairly smart game as well, and we just struggled to break that down. But yeah, disappointing, alright.
In terms of today's game, I suppose it's still a very, very young Fenagh team. It won't be the last time we see a lot of those players at this stage of the championship. What do you take out of the year so far?
Yeah, look, I suppose it's great for the younger guys. I think our average age on the starting team today was probably around 21 or that. I think I'm the oldest at 26, as people keep reminding me. But so look, we've had a good year. We've been competitive, I think. I do think even though we're well off it today, I think another day we could compete much more strongly with that Mohill team. So look, I think going forward we fancy ourselves as a title contender every time the championship is starting off. So yeah, a lot of confidence, I suppose, is what we'll take out of this year. I suppose we have now got the potential, or we feel we have the potential, so it's just a matter of pushing that on now over the next couple of months and years.
In terms of those players coming through, is there anyone that excites you to play alongside over the next couple of years in particular? Obviously we know some of the bigger names, but maybe the non-county players that we might be familiar with. Who has impressed you from that group of players?
Yeah, I suppose there's a couple of standouts, but I don't want to put pressure on anyone by calling them out, but I suppose Conor Dwyer and Mark Egan, I think, have really stepped up this year. But it's not fair to just single those two out. McLaughlin is huge potential there. And then you have even younger guys, Conor McGovern, Fergal and McLaughlin. Jesus, the talent that's there. if they just can I suppose stick at it and keep training the way they have done this year, and keep progressing the way they have done this year, then there'll be a formidable enough opposition in a couple of years' time.
2020 won't be Fenagh's year, but I suppose you can look forward to maybe a couple of years down the line where you can come to this stage and maybe be in the opposite position. Looking forward to a county final now, but hard luck today, and thanks for having a chat with me.
Alright, Breifne, cheers.
Joe Flynn, your thoughts after that defeat?
Very disappointing to come out the wrong side. It was maybe the 6 or 7 minutes either side of half time really cost us when we got a goal to kick to go, I think 2 points up as opposed to kicking on. We didn't get the scores we needed. Even at the start at half time, we were 5 points down. With the gale force breeze, we thought we might be in a position to knock over a few scores, get the scoreboard ticking over, but it was actually Mohill who did that, and that was really the winning of the game. We started chasing the game then. Mohill could get their formation set up strong at the back, so we weren't going to break that down, but fair play to Mohill. They're every bit deserving of the victory, and Fenagh will just look forward to next year.
I know it's very raw, it's only a few minutes after the final whistle, but in terms of the season so far, are you happy with where you finished up?
Absolutely. It's been a fantastic year for the club. We've blooded a few players. They've got a taste now of what championship football is like, and they've got that they've now tasted a defeat in the semi-final, and that's tough to swallow, but it's also a great opportunity for the players to learn and to realise where they need to make up the gains going forward into the future. So the talent is there, so we just have to make up another few percentage gains to compete with the likes of Mohill going forward.
In terms of the conditions, obviously we can probably hear it on the microphone here, but it's quite windy. It's been a blustery day. Did that affect the game at all, or?
It did, yeah. It was, the ball was carrying with the breeze, and I think we just started forcing the ball. If we had gone through the hands, what we're really good at. If we had done that a little bit more, we could have opened up, created a few more opportunities. As opposed to that, the ball was been holding up in the breeze and carrying over the end line for kick-outs and wides or whatever it was. But it did. Mohill probably dealt with it better in the first half with the cute play of getting marks and just popping the ball over the bar. We weren't as fortunate as that.
In terms of the game, what would you say was the major difference between the teams? The experience of the kind of the wily Mohill campaigners?
I think it probably was. If you were to get technical on it, I think around the kick-outs on the breaking ball, Mohill really dominated for a period there. That was a big difference, and it definitely the experience of the Mohill team was a major factor. They were controlling the game. They controlled the game when the breeze was against them, and it was hard to get the ball back off them. So we were just frustrating us, and they deserved the win, as I said.
Now, a name came up on your team list that I hadn't seen associated with you before. Dave Passmore, well known in Irish hockey circles. What's his role within the side?
He's, I suppose, David. He does a lot of fishing around Leitrim. So we got him involved just to have nearly like in a consultant role to get the heads right. He's been a big asset when it comes in terms of stats. So he's himself and his son. All fairness, he helps out as well. So he got some stats software in place, and it's been great. It's been we're just trying to build a bit of a level of nearly like a performance. Just to get that level of performance, we're just trying to work to that higher standard. And Dave brought that. As in, he gave me notes on games, and we just try and take that on board and see at trainings. And he's been great to have.
Yeah, he's probably a name that will be unknown to a lot of our listeners, but he's heavily involved in Irish hockey over the years at a very, very high standard. The Irish women's team, I think, if memory serves me right, from a former life. But listen, Joe, hard luck today. Well done on everything you've done with Fenagh this year, and I'm sure you'll be back on that sideline for Fenagh next year. Is that decided yet?
Well, yeah, hopefully. I'm saying I'm up in Dublin the whole time. It's the one drawback of training a team at home. But listen, it's been such an enjoyable year. I'd hopefully we'll kick on next year, and it'll be myself and Conor back in place again. And thanks to Breifne for all the interviews throughout the year. You're doing a great job for Leitrim GA, and long may it continue with you.
Thanks very much, Joe.
Okay.
Keith Byrne, your thoughts after that game?
Yeah, we're delighted. Back in the county final, that's where we feel we should be. That's where we work out. That's where we aim for every year. We sit down, we say, lads, look at the panel we have, the players we have. We need to be contesting county finals every year. So we just try and drive on every training and aim for it. And you have to get there. Semi-finals are very hard won, and we've won it. So now we've to look forward to a final.
You've been well renowned as a free taker over the last, I suppose, over your whole career in the county here in club football, but you've really added an extra dimension to your game in terms of open play. Is that a specific plan, or just a kind of as you're getting older and wiser?
No, it's something I've always had. Like, I was away the last 2 summers, so in 17 I was scoring good bit from play, and now I'm back again this year, taking it serious and going for it, and it's just coming back into my game.
How are you enjoying the season so far?
Loving it. Like, it's football. Like, you grow up playing football, you want to play football, you want to play championship football, and we're playing matches thick and fast, and that's what we love doing.
In terms of the game today, talk us through kind of the plan, because you never really looked like you were in much danger. Fenagh battled in parts, but you just seem to have the firepower all over the pitch.
No, look, Fenagh are a very young team. Like, I think Donal's their oldest player, so like it was going to be an uphill battle for them. Like, they got the goal and we just settled ourselves down. Like, when we got the goal, they kind of panicked a bit and they did look a bit under pressure. So it'll come with age. Like, they will get a lot stronger, them young lads. So they will be around in a few years.
In terms of the county final, you have 2 weeks now to prepare for, I suppose, the showpiece of the year here in club football. Any thoughts going into that? Does it really matter to you who it's against? I know the big semi-final tomorrow.
No. Both teams are in a county semi-final for a reason. They're both serious outfits. So whether it's Manor or Carrick, we have to put our heads down and train hard for 2 weeks.
Defeat on the opening day of the season, it's been all wins since. Is it nice to get that bit of momentum? And I suppose the nature of the wins as well. A big win against Allen Gales in the quarterfinals, a decent win here on the scoreboard today. County final, will it be a bit tighter than today?
Oh yeah, look, county final is a county final. Whether you're playing a team that you think you're way better than, it's so intense on the day. Everything, crowds, lads get nervous, different lads don't perform, so it's down to the wire in a county final day, no matter what the teams are.
In terms of that game, how do you expect it to go? Who do you expect to win the semi-final tomorrow? Or are you going to ask you to put your head on the block?
No, I haven't a notion. I know both players and both teams, and it's going to go either way.
Keith, well done today, and congratulations on reaching another county final.
Cheers, Breffney. Thanks very much.
Liam Keenan, congratulations. Into a county final, you must be chuffed with that.
Absolutely over the moon, yeah. Couldn't be happier now, to be honest with you. Just came here, whatever it took this evening to try and get over the line, and for the team to play particularly well at periods in that game, it's very, very satisfying, to be honest with you.
You're the man at the moment, because I suppose we have to move indoors because of the darkness outside. It's getting very dark very early these days as we head into the autumn. But in terms of yourself, you're not feeling much dark, I'd say, this evening, walking on air.
No, absolutely delighted. I mean, what a difference a year makes, as I was saying to you. Last year we were hugely disappointed when we went out at the semi-final stage. We felt that as a group that we probably didn't do enough to advance, and I suppose we knuckled down and we were able to get something out of the year and win in the league last year. And we set out our stall very early this year to have a crack at trying to win the Leitrim Senior Football Championship. And COVID, like everything, put major disruption on that, but to be back playing football and the effort and the commitment that the boys have shown since we've come back after the lockdown or whatever has been fantastic, and I think it's just reward today for all their efforts.
There's not an awful lot of distractions for anybody else living in the county at the moment. It's really just all been about football for the last 6 or 7 weeks. Is that a help to someone in your position when you've got full attendance, or more or less full attendance at every training session? Does it make it easier to get that team together?
Yeah, well, I think countrywide that has been the norm, where clubs have benefited maybe from lads not heading away on J1s or going abroad, or for different reasons. A lot of lads are at home now, as we know, and having everyone back, having everyone available to us makes a huge difference. And as I said to you, from the very first night we got back after the lockdown, the effort has been fantastic. And I think today we got our just rewards. We're absolutely delighted to be in the final in 2 weeks' time.
It was a big margin of victory today on the scoreboard, at least a good few points more than you might have expected coming into today's game. Fairly straightforward win in the the quarterfinals as well against Allen Gales. Are you maybe worried that might, I suppose, cost you when it comes to that cut and thrust of a county final?
No, not at all, because we're very, very fortunate in Mohill to have a very, very, very strong panel of players. So every night at training, these guys are pushing one another. There's lads chomping at the bit trying to get in. Keelan Canning started his first championship game today. Unfortunately, we lost Ronan Gallagher the last day, so an opportunity for him. So all the time there's opportunities for lads to get in, but I'm not in the least bit concerned with that lad, because these lads are pushing themselves all the time, and that's what we want from them in training.
over the next 2 weeks preparing for a county final. Will it make a difference who you face? If it's Manor Hamilton or Carrick in the final, will you be approaching it in a different way?
No, obviously, like everybody else, we're keen to find out who will be playing so we can get our house in order. But no, what we'll be doing now is going away over the next 2 weeks, back to training Tuesday night, and setting out our own stall and getting our own house in order. And look at the lads, along with myself and the management team, we're just really looking forward to the next 2 weeks. This is, as any footballer or anyone involved in any team, this is where you want to be. You want to have a crack on the big day, and we're there now, so we're looking forward to that.
Well done today.
Thanks very much.
St Mary's confirmed their passage to the final with a 7-point victory over Glencar Manor Hamilton. And after the game, I spoke to both managers again, Dennis Connaughton of St Mary's and Sean Boylan of Glencar Manor. But first, let's hear from the players involved. Jonathan Cassidy of St Mary's, while last year's championship winning captain Conor Dolan spoke to me after the game. Conor Dolan, it's a different situation this year than maybe 12 months ago when we were lifting the cup here at this point. Disappointed?
Yeah, extremely disappointed coming out of here today. We knew coming in it was going to be a tough battle. We definitely didn't underestimate this Carrick team. They've turned it around superbly since the start of the year, and we knew we were going to have our hands full today. And you know, hands down, we were beaten by a better side today and a team that wanted it more. So all I can say is well done to Carrick, and wish them the very best of luck in the final.
They almost seem to employ your own quarter-final tactics back against you today. They just sat back, waited for you to attack, and then just picked off any individual mistake. They just pounced on it and broke.
Yeah, I agree. They were very well organised, and even at 8-2 down at half-time, there was a huge wind. I think it died a little bit, which wasn't in our favour. But as you said, no more than our own game management, maybe 2 weeks ago against Ballinamore, their game management was very good today, and they were always that little bit ahead, and I think the goal was the killer blow. We came back a little bit afterwards, but I think the goal for them really gave them that extra step ahead, and for us we were always chasing after that.
I suppose the levels you've set yourselves over the last few years, anything less than winning the championship is a disappointing season, but I suppose taking that aside, what's your thoughts on how the year went for you?
Look, it was a very hard year, for the boys coming in there. It was hard because with lockdown and everything, there was a bit of a break. It wasn't the same, although we were training on our own a bit, it's not the same when you're not training together as a group. It took us a while to get going. We had a few injuries at the start of the group. We got a few wins in the group, alright, but we had a poor loss to Melvin Gales. But I suppose what we were really aiming for then was the quarter final. We felt we were in a good place. Look at the lads that we had. I couldn't ask more for them. Sean Boylan, Frosty, Sean Doherty. They've put in a huge amount of work all year, and we came here today well prepared. It wasn't that, but as a group of players today, I just don't think we deserve to win the game.
I know after last year's final, a few players kind of bid adieu to the squad. Anyone in the squad that might be, or will you be looking to keep as many of these lads around as possible, as a few lads maybe reaching that age where they might be making decisions in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I suppose, and that'll be down to them, but as you said, we'll be trying to keep everyone together. We lost James Lancy and Packle Martin this year, and they were a big loss for us. It gives young lads an opportunity. That's the only thing to step up, which many of them did this year, which was great. But there's still lads there, no matter what age they are. They can still offer a lot to this squad, and if we can keep them around for next year, we'll give it another rattle next year again.
I don't think it'll be the last time we'll see Glencar Manor at this level of the championship in the coming years ahead. Conor Dolan, hard luck today. Congratulations on an impressive season, an entertaining season, but it ends here today, so unfortunately for a Manor point of view. Thanks very much for chatting to me.
Thanks very much, Bethany. Thank you.
Jonathan Cassidy, St Mary's, another county final. You must be delighted.
Oh, we're absolutely delighted. It's hard to believe the minute that we're there, but it's brilliant that we're there, because I suppose we didn't know where we're going to be kind of at the start of the season. We're just kind of new manager and everything, kind of taking it day by day, and it's just a brilliant feeling to be there now. So
I know we spoke off the air a couple of weeks ago, maybe after that Mohill victory. We keep talking about it because it's such a pivotal point of your season. Yeah. That was a dark day for the club, and I suppose you really have come out over the last 5 or 6 weeks, and you've really painted a different picture of where the club is at.
Yeah, I know. Again, it was a low point for us that day. So it was the biggest thing that day for us. We gave up, so we did, and we just said to ourselves after that game that we're never going to give up again in the game and see where it takes us.
Obviously it's taken you the whole way to the county final now. Today's game though, wily campaigners, Manor have been thereabouts for the last decade or so. it was very even coming into it, but it didn't actually look like an even game because you just seemed to have that extra gear whenever you needed it. Some of those young lads coming through, I know, and you're looking at them maybe half your age.
At least half my age. Yeah, I know. I say Morahan been there like since last 10 years at least. Every battle we have with them, they've come out on top more times than we have, but thankfully today we've come out on top. We knew it was going to be tough, like their seasoned team, and they're brilliant outfits for the year. So we knew coming into the game was going to be tough from the first throw in to the end of the game.
In terms of the makeup of that team, because it's a very young Carrick team on the whole, you bring the average up yourself, James Clancy, James McGill, there's a few others, but in terms of the overall makeup of that team, the bulk of it now seems to have come from that minor winning team of last year and the year before. What's it like at your vintage? Let's be honest, you're in your late 30s.
That's all right to say, yeah. Look, it's for me, I suppose, I'm not going to say my age, but I actually didn't think I'd get the chance to play with these young lads that were coming through, because I did hear about them, while they were coming through, and I thought, I wouldn't be around to play with them, but since they've come in, they've actually drove the older lads on more, so they'll have just to, it's a pleasure to play with them, so it is, and to train with them, and they're pushing us on every night of training, so they are.
What's it like to be in that dressing room though with lads who are a couple of decades younger than you?
Look, it's different times we live in now, and it feels like we're a lot. Our time is a little different to their time, so it is. But it's good feeling in one way because we feel young too, like being around the boys, because a bit of crack with them and all that, and it's it's a good feeling, so it is.
Well, listen, congratulations today. Great game. Great to see you still chipping away, and best of luck in the county final in 2 weeks' time.
Thanks very much, Breffney. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Sean Boylan, your thoughts after that defeat?
Yeah, obviously disappointed. I thought for the first 15 minutes we were very good. I think we done a lot of right things. Second quarter, I suppose made a few mistakes and gave away a few balls, and I suppose Carrick kind of took over in that second quarter of the first half, and look, no complaints. We're beaten by a better team in the day.
Talk us through the game, because it was a bit of a slow start based on the wind conditions. Carrick had that wind in the first half. They took advantage of it and held a 6-point lead at the interval. What was the thoughts going through your mind at that halfway stage?
Look, there was a huge breeze in the first half, and look, I thought again, going back to the first 15 minutes, I thought we'd done a lot of right things then in the first 15 minutes of the first half, but I suppose, look, they got, I think, 6 points leading us, but we were confident at half time that we'd claw that back, because these lads are well used to coming back from the dead, and look, we got 2 points straight away, brought it back to 4, and then we conceded a soft goal, and we just played catch up for the whole of that second half, I suppose. But look, credit to our lads, like they died with their boots on, and they have been doing that for this last 12-15 years, and look, I can't say enough about them.
It's been a long period of maybe a decade or 12 years, as you mentioned, with this group of players. Is there another championship campaign in this complete group?
Look, I suppose the older lads will go in, they'll have, they'll reflect, and look, I can't say enough about them. They've been huge servants for our club, and look, I'd love if they'd all come back, because you need older fellas to, I suppose, bring on young fellas, and look, they'll make their own minds up. They're intelligent lads, and some of them has gone to the well so many times for this club, and look, whatever they decide to do, look, we'll have to move on anyway and get young fellas in, but look, I can't say enough about them. They've been huge ambassadors for our club, and I wish them all the best whatever they decide to do.
In terms of, obviously, you have a dual role, you're also on the executive of the committee of the club as well. In terms of, I suppose, the feel-good atmosphere around the county, or around the town, should I say, it's not going to feel great today, but overall, you've been at this semi-final or final or championship winning stage for so long. Your girls have now added to that as well in terms of the senior team, and third final in a row coming up next week. What is the secret in Manor about kind of how you get these teams to this level consistently year after year after year for such long periods of time?
I think it's a lot of, I know within the senior setup it's player driven, and they take responsibility themselves, and look, no matter who comes in and manages them, it's an easy job, because you've no fires to put out, or you have no issues to deal with, like it's just purely football based, and look, them lads, and look, we have a lot of great people behind the scenes in the club, putting in work day in, day out, and I suppose that's what makes our club successful. It's not about, I suppose the players are part of it, and management teams are only a very small part of it, but it's the general, the people that selflessly giving their time and effort to to keep our club motoring on, and look, we'll continue to do that because it's an ethos that's set within the club, and look, long may it continue.
Sean, hard luck today. Thanks for having a chat with us.
Thanks, Breffney. Cheers.
Dennis Connaughton, happy with that?
Delighted, Breffney. Absolutely delighted to get to the county final. It's just a very big performance by those young men, and I believe, looking at them today, they deserved it, and we're delighted to be in it.
Yeah, the common conception seems to be that the best team won on the day, but you just seem to have that extra little bit of firepower, and your midfielders really rose to the occasion. The 2 goals both coming from your midfielders, marauding forward, and a fantastic penalty from Paul Keeney as well.
Yeah, the 2 midfielders, they put in big performances in the second half today, and that was important for us. The water break came at the right time in the first half. We were struggling a little bit. Glencar were managing the game very well, and after that water break I think we kicked 6 unanswered points, and that was a big period for us in the game just before the break, because it would have been disappointing with the strong wind to go in level at half time or just a point ahead, so those points were very valuable.
Now, we've been chatting a good bit over the summer. I suppose we all reference a lot the game with Mohill back a few weeks ago, which was the turning point, a massive turning point for the season. It's really inspired you to kick on to a level that people probably didn't suspect you had.
Yeah, well, we've kicked on. The players regrouped after that, and I'm always saying, without good players you never win anything, and those players have been outstanding. They've won those games by themselves. My influence is very, very, very little, and those players just have gone out and performed, and that's what it's all about, getting the best out of yourself, because these moments in time are very, very short, really short. You don't come around that often, so when they come around, they're precious. You must really embrace them and take them on and really give it everything you have.
There's an old saying in sport that you don't win anything with kids, but that's a very, very young side for the most part. There's a couple of old timers there, but there's a very young demographic in that dressing room that you have. What's it like to work with a group so young and so inexperienced and watch them develop into really title challengers now?
Yeah, well, they're coming from a very successful underage system, which has, serious work has gone on in St Mary's, and they're used to winning, and that winning mentality is with them. But it's very difficult. The big step up in football is from minor or under 20 as far as senior, because you have some outstanding footballers as senior. You have a lot of senior to county players you're coming up against. There's a lot of experience. There's a lot of really, truly great footballers playing. So that step up is huge for them. But they've worked very well. There's great experience in the team as well. Some of those older guys they're just making a bit of a laugh at time. The way they're playing, you wouldn't think that they're in their 30s at all. They're playing so well for us. You're looking at James Clancy, you're looking at Jonathan Cassidy, you're looking at these guys. They're just you think they ever come from the underage system as well, and the manner in which they're playing.
Of course, your backroom team, yourself, Anthony Conway and Fergal Reynolds, they've both been there as players. They've both won this competition on the field for this club. Is it important to have people with that kind of reputation from around the club involved with you when you've come in from outside the club?
Yeah, the 2 guys are, along with their great experience and great knowledge of the players, they're very intelligent men to be working with, and the amount of work to do away from the matches is huge. It's a massive amount of work. Anthony works so well with the goalkeepers, he's a goalkeeping coach, and Fergal is he's on my right side the whole time through all storms and everything else that happen in football matches and in football pitches in the preparation leading up to it. But they're great help to us, and I have so many guys in the backroom team helping out. It's great to have them, because you wouldn't survive in the modern game without so much help. It's no longer is it a job for one person. You're just, all I am here is the figurehead of this, and those guys are the guys that are doing an awful lot of the work.
You mentioned the word storms, and towards the end of that game there was a bit of a storm in a teacup, just on a free kick, late defending a free kick late in the game. And I suppose from a manager's point of view, you're looking at that you can't get involved, you can't really make much of an impact in it, but do you get frustrated watching your players maybe getting involved in that sort of stuff needlessly when you're comfortably ahead last minute of a game and potentially pick up a suspension for a county final?
Yeah, well, you're always hoping that they wouldn't be foolish enough to do that. They're young people, and it's not a game of perfect, and perfection in my estimation doesn't exist. But I thought they handled it quite well. There was a lot of frustration, from Manor and Manor Hamilton. They're just getting a little bit frustrated themselves, and those things happen on a football field. But I didn't think there was too much to it really. It was fine. The referee Michael McGarrell, I think, did an excellent job in the game, and he's a top class referee. And you come to Leitrim and you're looking at Leitrim club football and you're saying to yourself, this place is, the football this year in this championship, it has been so well run. It's been a credit to everybody involved with it, and I thought the management of that game today with the umpires, linesmen and Michael, I thought it was just top class today. And our little lads, they might have been getting a little bit excited near the end, but that's football.
25 years ago on this ground, you brought an Allagales team to the championship final. What's changed about club football in Leitrim in the last 25 years?
Yeah, well, we'll go back 2001 in that year. Football, what I had with Alan Gayes, I had an awful lot more experience at the time. Football hasn't changed dramatically. It's probably the teams are a little bit more defensive than what the once would have been. But they must remember that time, you had Armagh coming to the fore, and a lot of stuff that we get and a lot of the manner in which football is played has come from a Northern influence, Northern Ireland influence. But it has changed from that aspect. Players are now much fitter than what they once would have been. They look after themselves better. They have an awful lot of help in backroom teams, nutritionists, strength and conditioning trainers. All of those things add to better performance and better speed of play. And I think it's a very good game at the moment. It doesn't need that much change. There's some aspects of the game you still wouldn't be crazy about, but in general, it's a very good game.
Finally, Mohill again in 2 weeks' time. We spoke about them already in this interview, but what do you do to approach that game, having already played them in the manner of the game a couple of weeks ago?
Well, we hope that we play a damn sight better than what we played the last time. I thought we were quite good in the first half. We got a very poor start in that game, but we came back into it well. But in the second half, we just didn't play. We got the initial first score the second half, and after that, we stopped playing. So we will have to come out and play. It's lockdown year and COVID year this year. So you just want to make sure that people have a good county final to look at. We want to perform to the best of our ability and make it a good county final. We don't want Mohill blowing us off the park in the manner in which they did. Only a few metres from here. In our own home pitch, they just blew us apart, and it was an embarrassing day for us all. These players regrouped after that. They had to, and they've really come to the fore. Some of the performances by them have been brilliant, and you just hope that there's one big hour left in us now.
Well done today, and the best of luck in 2 weeks' time.
Thanks a million, Breffney. Thank you.
The Ladies Senior Championship semi-finals also completed this weekend, and after Ballinamore booked their place, cagily enough booked their place in the county final, I spoke to Conor Hart and Katie Degnan of the Ballinamore side, while Sinead Tighe of Kiltubber talked about her pride at their performance in that semi-final. Sinead Tighe, tough game today.
Yeah, a really tough game. Conditions were, there was wind, rain, everything, and just a really tough battle from start to finish. I suppose we fought hard. We just came up short. Yeah, we were kind of happier with our performance today. We were very disappointed after the last day against Ballinamore, so we knew we had a point to prove coming out, and fair play to them. They're an excellent side, and they've really lit the championship up this year, so final will be an interesting game.
The wind played a huge factor in that second half, because 10 points down at the break, but you really rallied well and you had it down to one score at one stage.
Wind was a big factor. It was difficult to get our kickouts and stuff out in the first half, so we kind of knew we'd have that advantage in the second half, and it was definitely a big help. I suppose you could get a lot more distance and stuff on your kickouts, but unfortunately I suppose it just wasn't enough. But yeah,
in terms of the performance, you touched on it there, but you must be happy to have kind of put up such a good performance at this stage of the championship, because I know you played them earlier in the year and it didn't quite go your way that day.
Absolutely. Look, it's been a really funny year. I suppose we didn't know if we'd have any football at all, so I suppose that's always it's nice to be out and be playing. We knew we had a point to prove coming back. We were hugely disappointed. We knew there was a lot more in us after the last day, so it was just a matter of trying to get that performance out there today. We started off quite well, and they came back at us in the second quarter, but look, we never gave up. We kept going to the end. We've a proud tradition in Kiltubber. We're trying to build all the time and trying to keep going all the time, so we'll be thereabouts all the time.
Listen, hard luck today, but well done on a good performance and a good campaign.
Thanks a million, and best of luck to Manor and to Ballinamore. It'll be a good final.
Katie Degnan, thoughts after that?
Yeah, we're absolutely delighted to come away with a win there. It was touch and go for a while. It probably made a good game to watch, but we're delighted just to get the ball over the line in the end.
It was definitely one of the more competitive games of the championship. I suppose the goal at the very end, at the death from McGovern, put a bit of a gloss on it on the scoreboard, but that really was touch and go there towards that last quarter of the game.
Absolutely. Last quarter, Kiltubber kept on pushing and pushing. I suppose the first 5 minutes of the game we were asleep. 2 goals went in and Kiltubber got the one over on us, and our game was to just keep going, keep settling, keep punching over a couple of points, but the wind made it extremely difficult there in the first half. Even we had the wind, but I don't think we made use of it as much as we should have. Kiltubber definitely in the second half made use of that wind, and they got those long balls in and definitely came at us.
In terms of, I suppose, the final now, you have 2 weeks to prepare for a Manor team. You've played them already, you got the edge in that game. Finals are different animals though. What's your thoughts going into the final in 2 weeks' time? Oh, sorry, in 1 week's time because of the deferment, yeah.
I suppose we just prepare as normal, prepare as if it's any other game. It's our first club final in history, so we'll try and not let that get to us. We have a couple of young girls on this team as well, that's the first, so we'll be looking for them to push on too. As we train as normal, we play our own game, but we go into the final knowing that anything could happen.
In terms of your own performance, are you happy with the time?
Yeah, I suppose we could have pushed up a little bit more. I could have gotten on the ball a bit more, but look, as a team play, it's exactly what we want. We want a team effort, and individual performances were brilliant up in the forward line as well. It really stood to us, I suppose. And running through and kept going, and that's what we really wanted to do with those first 15 minutes. We weren't sure what was going to happen, but we just wanted to keep pushing on and pushing through, and that's what we done.
Listen, well done today, and congratulations on a first final for the club. The very best of luck next week.
Thanks, Murphy. Thank you.
Conor Hart, not one for the faint-hearted today. What's your thoughts after that game?
Relieved. It was a titanic battle between two really good teams, and conditions were tough, but it really came down to massive heart shown by both teams. We probably just came out on the right side in terms of taking a few more chances when we had the wind, but they started off really strong and put us under the cosh from the word go. So I thought our girls responded really well. There was nothing pretty about football, but it was a real dogged affair, and just delighted to come out on the right side of it.
Now, we bumped into each other casually during the week, and I, like most commentators in the sport, probably wrote off Kiltubber's chances of actually competing today unfairly, as it turns out. You weren't so quick to do that, even in private, and it played out today. They really did show up today and put it up to you.
Look, Kiltubber have a massive heritage of winning titles, and our girls, even after the day we played them, knew, and they even said it afterwards, that several of their key players played well below par that day, so we were under no illusions that they were going to give it everything today. And the thing is, in a knockout game, if you get a few chances going your way early on, it can really change the dynamic. So we had to dig very deep to win that, and all credit to Kiltubber. They put up a super performance.
In terms of the overall health of ladies football in the county, it's really good to see such competitive semi-finals with 4 teams really at that level now. We talked about 3 earlier in the championship. You can definitely say after today's performance there's 4 teams at that level in the championship. How good is that for the overall health of the sport in the county?
Sure, it has to be great, because look, all clubs are bringing through younger players as well, and there's a good range on all 4 teams there. And even I wouldn't rule out the other 2 teams as well, because when we played St Francis in Drumshanbo, even though the scoreline showed we won it well, it was actually a really tough game as well. So and St Bridget's will be coming back into the fold again in terms of getting for next year. But no, look, it's great. We set out to hopefully be competitive this year. We're in a final now. It probably wasn't our ambition maybe at the start of the year, but we're delighted, and we're a week to prepare.
Yeah, 1 week to prepare for biggest game in the club's history. That's a bit of a challenge. Are you up for it?
Yeah, look, we played a game pretty much every single week, so it's not like that. Probably game was tougher than we might have wanted, but in saying that, look, at a week should be plenty. Look, we're delighted to be in the final. It's our first final, as you say, so we're really looking forward to it now at this stage.
In that second half this evening, momentum was building in favour of Kiltubber towards that last quarter, and with the wind behind their backs, it really did get themselves up for the game. But you really stuck to your task, moved the ball well, and when you got the opportunities towards the end, buried the ball in the back of the net to settle the game at the death.
Yeah, look, it was probably nearly the last kick of the game, and it you're supposed to give us a bigger margin of victory than we might have deserved. But I thought today our backs really stood up. There was some really competitive exchanges in our defence there, and I thought particularly around the full back line there really played well, running out with the ball and that. And normally it's our forwards getting more of the credit in previous games, but I thought today now our defence were outstanding.
Listen, before the rain comes to join the wind, I'm going to let you go. Well done today and best of luck next weekend.
Thank you very much.
In the intermediate semi-finals on Saturday afternoon, Anaduff and Carrigallen played out a tight encounter in poor weather conditions, given a bit of rain, but mostly the wind, and the conditions were just horrendous for football. But Anaduff did enough early on in the game to give themselves a lead that they managed to hold on to until the final whistle. After the game, I spoke to their manager Carl Foley and their sharpshooter Sean Martinabola, while for Carrigallen, Brian Doyle and former county player Gary Reynolds spoke to us about their performance. Gary Reynolds, tough day today, tough start, but you really grew into that game as it developed. How are you feeling?
Yeah, just gutted now at the minute, Breffney, for the boys. That's probably a little bit how we've been playing this year. You know, if you look at the first half and the second half, I thought we actually started very well. We held the ball very well until we gave away the first goal, and it just knocked the stuffing out of us. And we've quite a young team, so maybe the heads dropped a little bit, maybe for 10 or 15 minutes, but we got the heads back into it, clipped on a few scores against a strong breeze before half time, and we did feel even at 8 points down that we could cause a few problems directly after half time. But yeah, just the first feeling, we're just heartbroken now, to be honest with you, because we don't feel the first half is a true reflection of how good we are, you know.
In terms of the actual game though, that quick fire 3 goals from, it's just a killer for any team, but you did very well to rally yourselves and get back into that game.
Yeah, and we know that that's what Anaduff do to you. In the first game this year, I think both teams were quite rusty. They only put one goal by us, but last year we played them in Championship. I think it was probably one of the more high scoring games of the Championship. I think it was 318 to 117 or something, so we know they can score goals, and we were probably a little bit naive after we conceded the first one. I know the first one was a bit of a mess up in defence there, but you're not going to get away with that. No matter how well we rallied in the second half, you cannot give away 3 goals in the first half, and that eventually was the killer for us at the end. We just ran out of legs at the end when we still had chances to probably bring it to extra time, but it just didn't happen for us, and it's heartbreaking. I wouldn't mind if, one of the lads after was nearly saying you'd nearly rather be bet by 5 or 6 points than the one at the end, but that's life, and we have to live with what we've done and just try and get a bit more consistent with our 60 minutes.
In terms of that second half performance though, there seemed to be a bit of a pattern where Anaduff would break, probably make a handling error or pick the ball off the ground, or a simple free kind of schoolboy error, and then you just go down and tack on a point, but you kept that scoreboard ticking over the whole way through, probably that 50 minutes when you forget about the first 10.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, that was, you were saying about Anaduff break, and we knew to do that. We knew to sit in tight when they got the 3 goals and try and run the game down, but we felt we put enough pressure on them, and that's what wasn't happening in the first half. When they broke in the first half, we weren't putting enough pressure on the ball, so they were able to play through us and get those goals. In the second half, when we did step up, lads got the bit between their teeth, we started turning over the ball, and we knew we were capable of doing that. We're just not doing it consistently for 60 minutes, and that's the problem at the minute.
You were a bit of the surprise package coming through that quarter final. Everyone expected Drumkieran to come through it based on the form in the Championship so far. Today was kind of a free shot at a final. Disappointed, or are you happy with the performance that you put in?
Disappointed, yeah. The first feeling anyway, Breffney, directly after the game, you'd be very disappointed because I'm not the oldest in the playing in the Championship, but I'm 33. I'm still got a few maybe years in me, but these chances aren't going to come around too often. But I'm hoping that this might make lads realise in the village and in the team and around the town that we have a good enough football inside. It's just about getting consistency. I mean, we got a few lads, we lost the first couple of group games, and I think everybody had us written off. We got a few lads back in after COVID who maybe hadn't committed at the beginning. All of a sudden we had a different shape to the team, and as you've seen there today, for 45-50 minutes of that game, we're well able to play football. It's just doing it, and I can't stop mentioning it, it's just doing it consistently. But we've put an awful lot of work into it. We've 5 or 6 young lads coming through from a very good minor team next year, another 3 or 4 the year after, so it's important that we create a culture for them, and we're hoping that by us getting to the semi-final this year and maybe deserve the place in the final bar the 3 goals, that might make them realise they're coming into a decent setup, and that's the way we can push on over the next 5 or 10 years hopefully.
So has it been a good season for Carrigaline overall in terms of maybe what it can do and a foundation to build for the future?
I think without a pre-season it probably was. I'll not lie, and even chatting to a few of the Kiltobert lads, both of us teams probably looked at that end of the group game there in the last game of the championship and probably thought that could come down to a shoot down, if we're being honest with each other. We knew Gortletra, Dromahare and Anna Duff are a senior team in their own right anyway, but Dromahare and Gortletra coming down from senior, we knew they were going to be hard teams to beat. Again, we just need to start getting more consistent over 60 minutes and knowing when to shut up shop. Against Drumkeeran, they got the first score of the game and we could have folded, but we shut up shop and kept it calm. After the first goal today, we probably should have done the same, but we were just a little bit naive at the back probably.
Well, listen, hard luck today and the very best of luck to you. Whatever the future might hold for you, I'm sure you talk about not many days left, but there's plenty more, I'd say, in a Carrigaline jersey for you.
Yeah, please God, Breffney. And listen, if the young lads keep pushing the way we are, we'll have something to play for. So disappointing at the moment and heartbreaking, but we'll try and push on and keep things going for next year.
Sean McNabola, your thoughts after that?
Yeah, we were lucky. We made it very hard on ourselves. We got off to a great start, but just took the foot off the pedal, I suppose. Just couldn't get our scores when we were in front of the goals, and fair play to Carrigaline, they pushed us all the way, and if it was another 5 minutes they easily snuck it, but we're glad we got over the line anyway.
In terms of the start, you mentioned there 3 goals in the first probably 7 or 8 minutes, one of them from your own boot. A bit of a weird one for the first goal though.
Yeah, well, we seen Inda had tried coming out the field before, and I heard someone roaring at me to leave him, but of course I ran after him, but lucky enough we overturned it, and I seen Gavin shooting and I said God no, but lucky enough it went in, and it was unusual surely, yeah.
In terms of the championship, you came into the championship I suppose a few weeks ago now as one of the favourites to win this. You kind of struggled to get past Bornacoola, a bit of a slow start today, very opposite game today. You started well, you dominated, and then you kind of faded out of it towards the end. What do you do ahead of a final in 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, it's last couple of games we've got off to bad starts, and I suppose we finished strong, and it's the complete opposite today I suppose. But the next 2 weeks now we'll have to work to try and I suppose start off well and keep it going for the whole game, for the whole 60 minutes instead of stopping and starting. But we've lots to work on for the next 2 weeks to prepare for either Drumahare or Gortletra tomorrow.
In terms of that, where will you watch the game tomorrow? You don't have too many options.
Probably at home in front of the fire, I'd imagine now. But no, I'd say I'll watch it at home now and probably watch the senior game as well. But that's about all the options you have really.
From a player's point of view, what's it like watching those games on TV, or even knowing that there's people at home sitting watching you playing the games rather than being here in the crowd?
Yeah, it's different. Like it's not too often you go to a game and no supporters at it. It's different, all right. But look at when you get your head in the game and you just put it at the back of your mind, you just play what you have, and that's the way it is.
What do you take from today's game that maybe you didn't have in your arsenal coming out of this? Like, what's the lessons you've picked up from today?
Yeah, I suppose when we build a lead, just to keep ticking on the scoreboard. Like we faded out of there for large parts of the game, and fair play to Carrigaline, they pushed us all the way, and look what we've lots to work on. We'll no doubt the lads will find something for us to work on, but we know ourselves what we have to do.
Yeah, well, listen, congratulations today, Sean. Best of luck in the county final.
Cheers, thank you.
Brian Doyle, your thoughts after that game?
Oh, disappointment, I suppose, but proud as well, very proud. We had a 3-minute spell in the first half where we just went AWOL, and we got blitzed, and we were kind of nervy then, chasing the game and making silly mistakes or silly decisions on the ball. But very proud of the lads for knuckling in and digging in the second half, and tremendous performance the second half, and we very near pulled it off there towards the end, but we didn't, and that's just we'll go home, but we can hold our heads up.
A lot of teams would have probably just folded, completely capitulated, conceding 3 goals so quick together, like that 2 or 3 minutes, as you said, it was just an absolute blitz. A lot of teams just crumble, but you held it together, and it was an impressive performance from there on in from your side.
Oh, it was, and that's what I'm saying. I'm very proud of the lads, the character they showed. A lot of teams, as you say, would have crumbled, and 9 points down, 3 goals like that would kill any team. But there's great spirit, great heart, and we've shown that. We had a bit of a rough start to the championship, all right, and it took us a while to settle on a team, and lads grew into it as the year went on, and we had a great victory in the last round. We were up for it today. We knew we had nothing to lose. I suppose any other sort of a start there today, if we could have even just conceded one, I'd have taken one of those goals, but not the three of them in 3 minutes, like, you know. So, but a great character from the lads, all right. But still, at the end of the day, there's still 2 points in it, you know, and we don't move on to the final. That's what we came here to do, and we didn't do it, and that's just the name of the game.
In terms of the different individual performances out there, some great performances from some individuals. End Alliance was hot and cold, a bit of a mess up. We won't talk about the first goal, it's worth watching back on the stream, but he did redeem himself somewhat with a penalty save that put the momentum back in your court in the last 15 minutes of the match.
There was some little errors, a few hand passes. You know, I thought some of our defending was excellent, and some of it was a little bit sloppy, or else the referee pinged us a couple of times there for overzealous tackling. But you know, that's just that's championship football, you know, and that's semi-final championship football, and it's been a while since we were here in this position. It's been a while since we were competing to get into a final, and we've done it. I think we did ourselves and our parish proud this year.
Pat McCann seems like a nice find there on the wing forward for you. He popped up a couple of times, won the penalty, but looked lively. Always an outlet there for your defenders.
Yeah, Pat's a good, hardy young fella, and he's an honest young lad, and that's all you ask from anybody, to be honest, when they're out there on the field and to put in a shift. And Pat will always do that. So, you know, he got some hard knocks, as you've seen there, but he still got up and kept going and right to the very end.
It's hard luck today. Thanks for chatting to us.
Thanks very much. Best of luck to Anna Duff in the final.
Carl Foley, your thoughts after that?
Oh yeah, exhausted after that. So many emotions. But look, the main thing is we're in the final now, and we can look forward to that in 2 weeks' time. But certainly a lot to think about in terms of composure and in terms of, you know, not letting panic set in. And I think a little bit of panic did set in, and our boys lost their way there in the second half. But we had built up such a good score after such a quick period of time at the start, and I was just encouraging them to try and push on. But I think there was a period there of maybe 15 or 20 minutes where we didn't get a score, and when that happens in a game, I don't know, is it doubt, or is it a little bit of you know, just wanting to get the next score on the board to be able to drive on, and that took a long time to come. But in fairness to them, they dug deep after Carrigallen got them 2 goals, and Owen had the composure at the end to get the final score for us, which was the one that got us over the line. So overall, you said to me before the game that, you know, we'd win by 2 points and we'd be in a county final. I'd snap your hand off.
It was very similar in some respects to your quarter final, but roles reversed, because Bornacoola had a really quick start in that game, scored 2 really quick goals. You found yourself with that advantage today, and you didn't really handle it well. What do you think that comes down to?
Yeah, it's a good question. It certainly comes down to the fact that we every championship game we played this year, we've had to come from behind, and bar the Dromahare game where they gave us a right good beating alone in Dromahare, we've had to crawl back into games and you know, get back into it, and which we have done, you know. In fairness, during the week I've been talking to the lads. I've been saying we're going to need goals, and we're going to need 1 or 2 to get over the line today. I wasn't expecting 3 in the space of 5 minutes, and I think it's just a lot down to that we had such a good start made, and it was very hard to hold on to that, or to try and progress that lead. And, you know, credit to Carrigallen, they came out all guns blazing in the second half, and you know, they had their chances too to come back and possibly level the game, and to be a totally different atmosphere near the end, and you know.
In terms of the game, the momentum shifted so often at different stages. That penalty save from End Alliance, there was a bit of suspicion about how far he was off his line before the ball was struck.
I think he was nearly out towards the 45 before Alan had taken that. But yeah, look at you know, I thought we you know, we showed a lot of good forward momentum. Only that we were just lacking that little bit of composure in front of goal, and that's something for us to work on. But had we have got that second penalty, I think we'd have got over the line, and maybe with a few points to spare. Overall, look at, you're not totally happy with the full performance, but you can, you know, you have a lot of work a lot of stuff to work on there, and we're delighted to be in this position. 2 finals in the space of 3 years. We worked so hard to get to this position, and it's a shootout now between Gortlettra or Dromahair tomorrow, and we've played them both. We've a good idea, what they're like. They'll have a good idea what we're like too. But no, looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll be ready for them in 2 weeks' time.
Finally, before I let you go, just the pattern of the last 15 minutes seemed to be you'd break but make a really basic handling error, give a free away, and they'd come down and score, and it just that momentum just kept dropping away from you. What do you do to work on that over the next 2 weeks, or is it something that you're overly concerned about?
Yeah, look, at least we've had the experience of that today, and at least we've seen that happening, and it's a case of just sitting them down and showing them their errors, and showing what we've done right, and showing what we can improve on. I thought we did a lot of stuff right there, but I just think that when it came to the final third, to get 9 scores in a semi-final is not good enough. It's not going to be good enough in a final, and we'll be certainly working towards that. But I mean, it was a totally different game to the game that we'd experienced 2 weeks ago with Bornacoola, and maybe it's a good stick to whip ourselves in the back with over the next couple of weeks, in terms of how to rectify our mistakes and what we've done wrong, and at least we know now the next 2 weeks training what we need to improve on.
Listen, well done today, and best luck in 2 weeks' time.
Thanks, Bernie. Cheers.
On Sunday afternoon in the intermediate semi-final that went to extra time after an entertaining draw, Gortlettra had just too much firepower in the extra 2 periods of 10 minutes for extra time, and they ran out with a 10-point victory over Dromahair. After the game, I spoke to Francie Flynn and Paul Maguire, their manager. But first of all, Pádraig Clancy, the manager of Dromahair, and a battle-weary and bloody Cian Clinton, who played the entire 80 minutes, having sustained a fairly vicious head injury in the warm-up to the game. So you can see the head injury on our video on YouTube. If you want to go over to Leitrim Daily on YouTube and check out Cian's interview there, you'll see he shows us the side of his head, and it's pretty nasty. I wouldn't like to have to walk around in it, never mind playing a competitive intermediate semi-final with that wound on the back of my head for 80 minutes. Fair play to Cian, but unfortunately it wasn't to be on the day, although his goal did force extra time in the original 60 minutes of play. Cian Clinton, tough game today, extra time defeat. What's the thoughts afterwards?
Obviously bitterly disappointed. I suppose game of 2 halves with the win there. We had a good lead at half time, and to be fair to Gortlettra, they clipped away the whole way through the second half. Probably had our chances to win the game as well, but look, that's the way it goes. Obviously very disappointed now.
In terms of the game, fairly physical battle. You took a few heavy hits.
Yeah, it was physical out there. It's always going to be with Gortlettra. Like we had a good tough game the first day. We played them in the first round of the group stage, so we knew it was going to be tough and physical.
In terms of your own thing, you seem to take a bit of a knock. Can you show us the back of your head there?
Yeah, that actually happened in the warm-up. Myself and James Morrison were down here at the front, and we're doing a kick and drill in the warm-up and just clashed heads, so just a way to get a couple of stitches now.
So you played with that from the warm-up. A lot of the lesser people might have just dropped out of the game.
Well, I suppose we'd lost Martin Feeney before the game as well, so we all needed to pull together there, but look, unfortunately it wasn't to be today, but we'll learn from it, and we'll hopefully move on next year.
In terms of the season, obviously you dropped out of the senior ranks last year. You've responded reasonably well, getting to a semi-final and bringing it the whole way to extra time against a very strong Gortlettra side. What's your take on the season so far? I know it's very, very recently finished, but what's your thoughts? I suppose delighted that the season went ahead. In the first place, it was sort of in doubt there for a while with the coronavirus and everything, but it all just came really thick and fast. I suppose we're only about 8 or 9 weeks since the whole thing began. It's been ran off really quickly, but look, it's tough to end it like that today, but again, we'll regroup and we'll come back together next year stronger. Thoughts on that idea of keeping it that short for future? Do you like that idea, or happier with a longer spread out more season?
I think it worked quite well given the circumstances. Obviously we had no league games or anything like that, so if you throw in 8 or 9 league games on top of a quick championship like that, you're going to rack up injuries and things, but it worked well given the circumstances, so definitely something that could be looked at in the future. Anything
you feel you could maybe have improved on today that might have seen a different result at the end of 60 minutes?
Yeah, I suppose my own free taking there at the end, missed one at the end to put us one up with time up, so look, that's disappointing. I think we
relied too much on the wind in the first half. Maybe we were kicking ball in from 60 yards, it wasn't really on. But look, we're a very young side there. We've only a couple of boys over the age of 28. So look, we'll learn from our mistakes and we'll move on next year.
Speaking of frees, you did nail a couple into that wind, and it probably added about 20 yards to every kick. In terms, one of them nearly dropped vertically across the bar, just about inched over. How do you prepare for a free kick in a situation like that?
I suppose it's difficult. We watched the games here yesterday, and generally when there's a breeze in Park Sean, it's straight down the field. So in terms of that, we kind of knew what to come prepared for. We done a bit of kicking during the week. Against the wind, but it's difficult because you never know what way it's going to be. Is it going to be across the field or down the field? So you just kind of have to play it as you see it.
Listen, hard luck today, and I suppose enjoy the off season. We'll see if it will be a longer season next year.
Hopefully, definitely. Thanks a million.
Francie Flynn of Leitrim, you must be delighted with the way that game panned out.
Yeah, it was a dogfight really. It was two halves, I suppose. I think we scored 113 in the second half. The lads were saying it was great stuff to watch, I suppose. I was kicked fierce scores there in the second half. Then after the half time or after full time, we had to drive on then.
So there's a bit of controversy with the Dromahair goal late in the game to put it into that extra time, as you mentioned, but 2 periods of extra time. They really only looked like one winner from about 2 or 3 minutes into that. You scored a goal first play of the game of that extra time period, and it was never really in doubt from there.
Yeah, Jack drove through and he finished it lovely. It's very disheartening for a team when you're only coming after full time, you're dead on your feet, you've 60 minutes played, and then Jack buried that goal.
In terms of this season, of course, you came down from senior last year. That would have stung a little bit, but you seem to have responded very well to that.
Yeah, last year we played Fenagh here and it was very disheartening. We gathered ourselves and said we'll come out and fucking drive it on. There's 3 teams that went down, so it was either between Dromahair were one of the teams that came down, so it was tough.
Of course, now 2 weeks to a county final. Bit of excitement building around Leitrim now ahead of that?
Yeah, there'll be a few boys talking, alright. Yeah, can't wait. Look, have a few points, I suppose, tonight, enjoy yourselves, and then back to it Tuesday, I suppose, back tomorrow. Get a bit of recovery in and set again.
How do you approach the next 2 weeks with Annaduff in mind in 2 weeks' time?
We played them over in Annaduff in one of the group games, and another dog fight, and us and Annaduff always have a good dog fight. There's history there, and be looking forward to it now.
In terms of your own performance, happy with today?
Slow start, but got into it a bit then, got a few breaks, but look, breaks can fall your way. Any man was there just as easy as me, so.
Well done today and best luck in 2 weeks' time.
Cheers, referee, thanks very much.
Pádraig Clancy, your thoughts after that defeat?
Disappointed, gutted, but look, very proud of the lads, very proud of the players, the way they battled, and look, the wind made it a very difficult game. So it's going to be a game of 2 halves anyway, and I suppose we done well in the first half with the wind, but Gertlet's just done a bit better with it in the second half, and once it went extra time, the 2 goals turned it for us, against us. But look, we're disappointed. Yeah.
In terms of the game, there's a lot of kind of maybe talking points around referees' decisions. One, maybe to disallow a goal at one end, and then maybe to give you a goal at the other. Both, you could see arguments in both cases. What's your own thoughts on them?
Look, when you're involved, like at the time, I thought Gary was very unfortunate to have disallowed. The defender done very well. He came across and he just hit him when he was about to shoot, and then he had to take another few steps, and by that he had overcarried. Keane's, he finished. It was a brilliant goal, but in fairness, I suppose, look, sometimes things go for you and sometimes they don't go for you, and overall the referee wasn't bad. We can't blame the referee.
In terms of extra time, though, it just didn't seem quite to click for you.
It didn't, and we were confident going into extra time. We had come back from 3 points down with the late goal, and we played against the wind in extra time, and we thought, look, we play tight, play cagey, and then they get a goal from the throw-in, and then a goal goes in from a free. I don't know if Conor Morahan got a hand on it. I felt Conor Morahan had a big bearing on the game when he came on. He was very hard to handle, and he won a lot of marks, and he scored a lot of points from well out the field,
In terms of the day, the wind, obviously the biggest factor probably on the day. Would you have liked a crack at them maybe without that wind?
I'd say if you ask anyone involved in football, the one thing they hate is wind. I'd love to play in the rain or anything, but wind makes it, it makes it a game of 2 halves, and look, sometimes teams adapt better to the wind, and playing against the wind, I thought we'd done well enough in the second half, just probably should have had a few more scores on the board, but look, fair play to Gertlet's, we have no qualms.
Where does this team go from here? Obviously it's the end of this season, but what do you do for aiming another tilt of that intermediate championship next year?
Look, I suppose tonight we spoke there after the game. we have some very, very good young players, and there's some good young players coming through. And I suppose, look, we'll regroup in a week's time. We have a junior semi-final next Sunday, so we'll regroup and we'll talk about it. And if the boys are prepared to put in a savage effort this year, it was a very funny year with training from January to March, and then everything stopped. So, you know, it was the same for everyone. But yeah, look, they have potential. There's no doubt about that.
Listen, hard luck today. Great performance. Just disappointing the way it finished up for you, but congratulations on a fine season for Dromahair.
No problem. Thanks a lot. Yeah, but the lads can be proud of themselves, and best of luck to Gortletcher in the final.
Paul Maguire, Gortletcher manager, you got to be happy with that county final appearance in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, we're delighted. Brilliant. You know, I mean, delighted for the lads. Dug deep in the second half, and in extra time, really stood up. You know, I mean, so really delighted.
The wind, of course, played a big factor. It's even interfering with our interview here, but in terms of the wind, it must have been a game of two halves in the first half. Dromahair really took to that game really early on, but you pegged them back in that second half, and only for a late goal you probably would have sealed it in the 60 minutes. You happy with the performance?
Yeah, but there's probably a couple of things we need to work on. I mean, probably fell asleep. I think the Dromahair number 12, he got through very handy there for that goal. You know what I mean? And but look, I can't fault our lads. You look at this, the second half there. I think we scored 110 or 113 as in the second half to peg it back to go ahead, and then Dromahair got the goal. And look, we really showed battle and stead in it to get extra time, you know.
In extra time, it only ever really looked like one team was going to win it. Once you stuck for the back of the net in the first couple of minutes, that was pretty much game over, really. You kept that lead and you built on it through the rest of the game.
Yeah, we kept the lead, and as I said to the lads in extra time, you know, it was important that we be very resilient, you know what I mean, and we wouldn't lay down, and you know, we knew Dromahair would come as if they got the wind, and look, we were brilliant when we stuck tight, and we got our scores as well, you know what I mean, so that was the big thing.
2 weeks' time, you're back here against Anaduff in the county county final at intermediate level. Looking for an immediate return back to the senior ranks, is that on the cards for you?
Yeah, that's probably all. It was on the cards for the lads in Gortletcher. Do you know what I mean? Probably very disappointed last year they went down in the manner they went down, and look, they were hurt, and it just shows you today, like, I mean, what it means to them trying to get back up to senior level.
How much do you know about Anaduff?
Yeah, we played Anaduff earlier on in the group stages, and the best by 2 points. And look, it's not going to be nothing easy, but Anaduff, you know what I mean, they had to really dig deep yesterday against Carrigallen and hold out for the win as well, you know, so it's going to be a tough game. It's nothing easy about it.
Well, listen, well done today, and the very best luck to you in 2 weeks' time.
Cheers, Ruffley. Thanks very much.
And of course, we can't have the opening weekend of the Sligo Leitrim and District League without having some junior soccer on the show. And after the Gaelic game, I nabbed Thomas MacDonald to come and have a chat with me about their 2-2 draw in the Super League on the opening day of the weekend. Here's what he had to say to me after the match. Thomas MacDonald, we're talking to you in the wake of the defeat in the semi-final of the Leitrim Senior Football Championship, but this morning you were in a different role within the town sporting structure, and that was as manager of Hamilton Rangers. I better get that right. Hamilton Rangers this morning. The season started 2-2 draw. Disappointed maybe not to get a win on the opening day?
Yeah, you always want to get a win, but you know, a draw was probably a fair result. Again, with lots of other commitments, we didn't have our full strength team out. But we've been trying the last few years or few seasons to bring through underage, and today we brought them through, and it showed today. We were playing against a very strong Strand side that had have a strong panel with young players coming through as well, and you know, 2-2 was probably a fair result.
Talk to us about the game, because obviously we didn't get to cover it live because of other clashes with the semi-finals of the Gaelic here, but also the game was live streamed on your Facebook page, so people can go and watch it there if they want. But tell us kind of how the game developed for you.
Yeah, the game, it was live streamed, so again, nobody was able to come in to watch it, but they could get it on Facebook. Look, our team started off, there was a lot of changes from the cup final. Our back four were completely different, changes in midfield and changes up front, so it was nearly a new team out. But these lads have been on the panel, and they came in today, and you know, they showed that they are able to nail down their place, and a lot of them will keep their positions and hopefully will push on.
In terms of the league campaign, obviously both your main rivals last year got off to winning starts, 2-1 both games. Are you worried about that yet, or is that just kind of a distant worry about that later on in the season?
Yeah, look, today was a busy day. I was going from one game to another, and I'll be happy now when I get home. But look, you want to get 3 points, especially at home. We were looking for 3 points, but we were 1-0 down, 1-1. We were 2-1 down, 2-2, and possibly could have snuck it. But again, I think a draw was probably a fair result. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, you do want the 3 points, and especially when the lads up the top of the table are getting 3 points already as well.
In terms of, I suppose, your own situation over the next couple of weeks, is it kind of a relief maybe to have the Gaelic over, or is just disappointment the situation in your head at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment it's total disappointment. You never want to be beaten or to lose, and I was praying that we'd do the business today and go through to a county final, but Carrick were the better team on the day and deserved to go through. So that's that.
A disappointing day, unfortunately, for Manor, but thank you so much for having a chat with me after the game this evening. It can't be easy in the current state of mind after losing the county championship like that.
Yeah, look, it is difficult again losing today, but again I'll take positives out of today. Looking at the team performance, the young lads that came out for Manor Rangers again today were magnificent. Right back, left back and the centre back, all under 18 lads. In the middle of the park we had under 18 lads, and up front we had an under 18 or an 18-year-old lad, and then the boys came off the bench, more young lads, and did the business, and we got a result there, so happy days.
Well, listen, thanks for chatting to me. Best luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And that, folks, is all we have time for today. A massive thank you to everyone who made themselves available, as always, to chat to us after the games, particularly the losing sides. It's never easy to open up and talk about defeats so raw and so close after the final whistle. So thank you so much to everybody who does continue to have a chat with us, and we wouldn't have a show without them. Also to our sponsors today, which is the Pete Sandwich Bar on Park Lane in Carrick-on-Shannon, and well worth checking out. If you're looking for a bit of nourishment in the Carrick-on-Shannon area, check them out. In terms of the show, that is it from us. We'll be previewing the ladies' finals this weekend, and of course all those details still to be confirmed at the time of asking, but it's looking like there will be crowds allowed into games, which is good. And don't know the numbers exactly, but the games in Park Sean may be allowed to take up to 200 people. We'll have more information on that on the preview show on Friday, but for the moment there is a possibility of getting back into games ahead of the senior and intermediate and junior finals of both ladies and men's over the next 2 weeks. But it does continue, as always, to depend on our own ability as a community to keep the virus at bay. So please, for everyone's benefit, if you really want to go to games, make sure you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. Wear a face mask in public, wash your hands, and keep socially distant as much as humanly possible at all times. And it will help us all continue to live life some level of normality over the next few weeks. Anyway, that's the show for today. Thank you very much to everybody, and we will talk to you again on Friday. Talk to you then.